And they're off. It was a clean beginning, and a very even one as well. You Wanna Twist, alternation showing good early speed. Don Dolce comes out running in third. Stacci's fourth through the opening furlong. Then it's Himbook, Ron the Greek on the outside. Nero is second to last, and last year's winner, Win Willie, is the early trailer. The pace is moderate, and once again, alternation sets it. And he's racing off that rail, just cruising along, going very slowly, with You Wanna Twist 2 lengths behind him in second. Don Dolce third, Stacci's fourth. Himbook is in the fifth spot, 5 lengths off the lead. He's followed by Ron the Greek, Nero, and Win Willie at the back. 11 lengths covers the field, 5 furlongs to run in the Oaklawn handicap. And it's Luis Quinones and alternation, 3/4 of a length. You Wanna Twist second. Don Dolce, Stacci side by side, third and fourth. Himbook gets an early nudge now. He's 4.5 lengths off the lead. Ron the Greek moves up inside of him, a gap of 4, back to an unhurried Nero, and then it's Win Willie. Alternation's been there every step of the way, maintaining a comfortable lead 3 furlongs from home. You Wanna Twist. Stacci's now trying to test him on the inside. Those two move in tandem. Himbook is starting to pick it up. Don Dolce is weakening. Ron the Greek is 5 lengths off the speed. Nero will be guided to the far outside. Win Willie has trailed throughout. Alternation has led throughout. You Wanna Twist. Stacci's next. Ron the Greek. Himbook far outside Nero. They're a furlong from the finish, and alternation is very tough on the lead, and Stacci's is running a big one. Ron the Greek is coming with a late bid after alternation. Then it's Himbook, a 16th to go, and alternation is unbeatable here at Oaklawn, and he stamps himself as a legitimate top horse in the country. Alternation cruises in the Oaklawn handicap.
Says USA, he won't buy nothing and he can't fix.
They're in the gate, and they're off in the Southwest Stakes. Toward the inside, American Dubai gets the first call with Siding Spring moving well in the early stages. Collected is down toward the inside. In between horses, it's Z Royal. Then it's Bird of Trey. Wide on the course, Luna De Loco. Discreetness took the worst of that, 7 wide. Also in the top flight is Gordy, Florida, and then Cut a Corner. It's a length back to Tarantes. It's 2 more to Whitmore. He's down toward the inside. War Stroll is out wide on the course, and it's a stretch of 3 to Sudden Breaking Moves just in front of Synchrony as they run into the backstretch. Into the backstretch they go with Siding Spring on top by 2 from American Dubai in second. Gordy, Florida, and Collected third and fourth. On hold from fifth is Bird of Trey under Joshua Navarro. Racing in sixth is Luna De Loco. Tarantes toward the inside is now 7th in front of Z Royal 8th. Then Cut a Corner 9th. Still wide, Discreetness is 10th. A length and a half to Whitmore 11th with Synchrony 12th. Stretch of 3 more to War Stroll. He's 13th. And Sudden Breaking News is 14th and last with less than half a mile to go. They went an opening quarter in 23 seconds flat, and they went a half mile in 47 seconds flat, and they run around the far turn. Siding Spring continues to lead it. American Dubai is second. Collected is third. Bird of Trey is now racing in fourth. Discreetness is fifth. It's a length and a half back to Whitmore. Mike Smith swings him into action on the far outside as they run to the top of the stretch in the southwest. Siding Spring confronted by American Dubai, and here's Collected off cover, and Collected is set down driving with Whitmore widest of all through the final furlong. Whitmore coming after American Dubai. From far back, Sudden Breaking News is really rolling. Here's Sudden Breaking News. He was 14th down the backstretch, but he's charging hard, and Sudden Breaking News wins it going away. Whitmore second, third American Dubai, then Collected fourth in 1:45 flat.
Get goosebumps when you see that stretch run.
It does give you a chill. It does give you a chill, yes.
First of all, thank you so much for taking time, because I know this has got to be a busy but maybe a little bit of a stressful day.
Yeah, it's a busy day. I think we're running 7 horses, and so the crew's all got to be on top of it, and I prefer to have a few horses running in a day like this, but 7 might be a couple more than we were looking for.
Now, Donnie is born and raised in Southwest Kansas. His dad, Don, is, all of you know, a very well-respected trainer, as is his brother, Kelly. All three a very dominant force in the Midwest circuit. Donnie himself has been the leading trainer at Remington 11 times, right?
I'm not sure the
I think it's 11. Inducted into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame in 2012. But like normal racetrack kids, when the school year was out growing up, you went to work at the barn.
Yeah, we'd wherever Dad was racing was usually Omaha at that time, at the old Exarban, and we'd go up for the summer and walk hots and probably get in the way a bunch around the barn. But at that time, you couldn't. You had to be 16 to go to the races at Exarban. So I always look back at that and think, I'd have probably been up at the grandstand doing no good, and I had to stay at the barn and actually learn something. So it was probably a good thing for me.
It's probably a good thing. So at what point did you know, Donnie, that you wanted to follow in your dad's footsteps?
I think it's, if you're around racing and grew up the way me and my brother did, it's hard to really think that you're not going to.
Right.
But I did go to college, completed a degree, and then came to the racetrack.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up, because that was something that your mom and dad stressed. I mean, there wasn't an option, that they stressed the importance of getting an education.
Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't have not gone. I really enjoyed 4 years in Fort Hays State University, and I think helped me grow up a little bit and really see some things. And school was always something. I'm one of the people that I like to learn stuff, and you're in college and people are skipping classes, and I like to go because I wanted to learn. And I don't know, I've always been there. I'm just curious, I guess.
Now, you obviously picked up some amazing lessons from your dad. What are some of the key things that you were able to carry over into your barn?
Oh, I think the patience and giving horses time when they need it, and just the way that he handles the owners, the clients, and makes them feel a part of the team and the decisions, and really the way they want to enjoy their horses.
Has he ever asked for your advice on anything?
Recently we have discussed a few things.
Really?
So, in the end, he has the most experience, but every once in a while he'll ask me a question, and we'll talk it out.
So I know it's kind of like asking a parent to maybe pick their favorite kid, but through all of the horses that have been through your barn, do you have maybe a favorite moment that you've had?
Oh, I don't know. It's hard to just make it one. I think there have been several, but probably for a young trainer, when Clever Trevor won the Oklahoma Derby in 1989, and came after that and was second in the Arkansas Derby. Those were pretty heady times for a young trainer to get a horse of that caliber.
Now, speaking of some of those amazing horses, Donnie has earned over 2,000 winners, and that has accumulated more than $54 million in earnings. Two-time Razorback Handicap winner, Mr. Ross, B. Duncan, Bien Nicole, Caleb's Posse. I remember being in a ballroom in Vegas, standing on a chair, cheering for Caleb's Posse in the Breeders' Cup, and being told to, ma'am, you're going to have to get down by security. Razorback and Oaklawn handicap winner, Alternation, who we saw. Gold medal dancer, who won the Azeri last year, beating champion Untappable. I know that was a very big moment. And I'm so happy you mentioned Clever Trevor, because he was the horse that kind of introduced you to the rest of the country. We mentioned you won your first of 3 Oklahoma Derbies, a very impressive Oklahoma bred of all things. And he was, by the way, the only trainer to win 3 Oklahoma Derbies. He went on to be competitive in graded stakes all over the country. As he mentioned, second in the Arkansas Derby. He won the Arlington Classic, second in the Travers at Saratoga. When you went to Saratoga, were they thinking, who's this cowboy and why is he here?
No, they may have been thinking that, but
You showed him, right?
before the race. But I think after the race, they had a healthy respect for our horse, and really Easy Goer had to get down and run some to get by us.
Right. So Clever Trevor wound up winning 15 of his 30 career starts and earned more than $1.3 million. And that's back in 89-90, right?
Yep. The dollars were went a little
Not
further
what they
then.
are now.
So,
But it really, I think, came full circle last fall when Sudden Breaking News won the Clever Trevor Stakes.
that was a lot of fun, and in fact, Caleb's posse had won the Clever Trevor Stakes a few years before that. So it's a race that I like to have a horse in there with a chance, and it's fun to win, given the history with the horse and all.
So with that being said, I mean, obviously it's definitely more sentimental. So that's just got to be, to saddle a horse, not only in the race, but to win it several times. That's just got to be so heartwarming.
It is fun, and Trevor's still out at the house. He's 30 now, and
He's still out of the house. I love it. 30 years old.
30 years old. In fact, Barbara Livingston flew out a couple of weeks ago and took pictures of him to put in her she's going to have another book, I think, with old horses in it, and he's going to be in the book.
That's fantastic. So let's go ahead and chat Sudden Breaking News. He is one of the hot topics of the day. An upsetting second in the Springboard Mile, losing by a nose. I know that was a tough defeat, but he returned in the Southwest. Now, a lot of horses do make the series coming back in the Smarty Jones, or starting out in the Smarty Jones. What was the decision not to have a prep race and just come right back in the Southwest?
Well, we'd run the horse through the fall. I think we run 5 times on a pretty regular basis through the fall, and just thought we'd, rather than come back in a month, we'd go ahead and give him a little breather, let him kind of catch up, and thought the further the races were going to be, the better chance he was going to have. So the mile, at that point, if we were going to skip a race at Oaklawn, that was the one that made the most sense, and trying to have him at his best through the rest of them.
So as we saw in the Southwest, he got that outside post. What was your thought then from that outside draw? Was it, oh, you're shaking your head? But it obviously worked out with today drawing another outside post. I know prior to the draw, you were asked what's your ideal post, and you said, I don't want to comment because I don't want to anger the gods. Are you, in retrospect, are you wishing you would have had a comment?
Didn't work, did it?
It didn't work.
Didn't work. No, that's post position draws are nothing you have any control over. So you just pick up the overnight, see where you're at, and figure out a plan from there.
A lot of horses wound up with a very troubled trip in the Southwest. But Louis Q did such a fantastic job, obviously just keeping him out of trouble, being in the back of the pack. How did the affiliation with Luis Quinones start? Because you guys have had some major, major, major success together.
Yeah, Luis has been riding in the middle part of the country for a long time, and always liked the way he rode. And here the last 5 or 10 years, he's been riding a majority of our horses, and he has some patience on a horse and can tell you something when he gets back. So that's always helpful. And we've had a number of horses that have gone on and done well.
Yeah, I really like his style. But in the Southwest, you also sent out Synchrony for Pin Oak Stable, who ran 3rd in the Smarty Jones. He did finish 6th in the Southwest. He did return to the work tab last week. A very nice breeze. What's in store next for him?
Yeah, I think we're going to try and run him in April, most likely at Keeneland. He broke his maiden there, and we just didn't feel like his races at Oaklawn. He ran twice here, was 3rd in the Smarty Jones, and then 6th or 7th in the Southwest. It just wasn't the same horse we were seeing last fall. So rather than keep pushing and all, we decided to give him a little bit of a breather and try and probably avoid some of the Triple Crown hoopla and have a good horse throughout the rest of the year, because we still feel like he's a nice horse.
Now, another 14-horse field today for the Rebel, but there's a lot of new contenders coming in from across the country. How important is the quote-unquote home track advantage going to be today? Because Oaklawn is a specific type of surface.
Yeah, I think anytime you get to stay at home and run out of your stall, and some of your competition has to make travel arrangements and all the goings on, getting your horses and people and everything in the right place, and be in a little bit unfamiliar territory, you probably have an advantage. Now, I think the local horses, there are several local horses that are certainly contenders in the race, so yeah, maybe we have a little advantage over a couple of the shippers in that regard, but this is a deep race. I wouldn't be surprised if there's 8 or 9 horses in the race. It wouldn't surprise me if they won. I think in a 14-horse field, there's going to be some trouble for somebody,
right.
and you just hope you have a clean trip and a chance to run, but it's by no means assured for anybody in the race.
So do you kind of see a little maybe deja vu in regards to having that outer post yet again, kind of the same trip today?
Well, I think that's probably what everybody's expecting, but I was more along the lines we'd probably send him to the lead today. And
No, you're not.
well, no, he broke his maiden on the lead.
So a reversal of form in the
Yeah.
Southwest then. Okay. So talk us through what his day is like today.
Yeah, he was out early this morning for a walk around the barn. It's a little too chilly for a bath, so he was a little quick sponge bath on the wash rack, and then he started the day. He got his breakfast about 4:30 this morning, and then he was walking the barn about 6:30 this morning, and then he'll get cleaned up and done up, and the state vets will come by, check him out, make sure he's ready to run and everything. Then he'll get his lunch about 11, and then early this afternoon we'll start preparing him to come over and race.
So I was explaining during my little spiel that I do while horses are training, that you kind of want to not keep, the horses want to keep a low profile as much as possible, kind of not be bothered. Tell everybody pretty much why that is.
Yeah, just like anywhere, I like my barn to be quiet all the time, and especially on race days when your horses to stay calm and save all their energy for the race. Now, some horses will even train the morning of the race because they'll be too much on edge, and you need them to be relaxed. The best horses run the best when they're relaxed, and you want to keep that frame of mind. Now, it's tough when there's 50,000 people, or probably not that many today, but when you have to come over in the paddock and do the infield, it's sometimes a little bit stressful for the horses. But this horse has been very professional. Everything he's handled the paddock situation just fine, so I don't anticipate any problems.
Now, there was a little bit of a gap between the Springboard Mile and the Southwest. Typically, going from 2 to 3 years old. Did you see a maturity change going from 2 to 3?
Well, I think it's a little tougher to see when you're with the horse day to day, but I do think he's an improved horse. And you certainly thought going in the Southwest that he had a big chance to run well. Now, I didn't think he would run that well, maybe, but
He surprised you, didn't he?
But it was all good, and he's handled himself well since that race too.
So I got an email yesterday from a fan of yours that said, well, first of all, he's not a stalker, which I thought was interesting that he, premised that, first of all. But he knew that you were going to be my guest today. But he was such a big fan of yours that he wanted to point out that after the Southwest, the first thing that you did was go over and talk to Mrs. Abercrombie, who is the owner of Synchrony. She is Pin Oak Stable, who ran 6th. Instead of going over to congratulate the owners of Sudden Breaking News, he went over to talk to Mrs. Abercrombie. That has been a very big and productive owner of yours, and she is very well established in the horse racing industry, a major influence not only in Kentucky but in the industry itself. How did that relationship come about?
Well, it actually came about in 1990. She wanted to send some horses out to Oklahoma and Exarban. We were still going to Exarban at that time, and her farm manager at that time was Joel Osborne, an Irish gentleman who had gone to the University of Arizona, the racetrack industry program, and Remington had just started, and they had a couple of people that had gone through the Arizona program also when Joe did. So he called out there and said, "Well, I need some names of some people that, we could interview and send some horses to." And so that's the way they got my name, and they came out and we had a nice visit. And later on that summer, they sent the first horse to us at Exarban, and it's been quite a relationship. They've sent so many nice horses; it's hard to even remember them all. And those horses get every chance, and we like to keep the relationship good. With any owner, it wouldn't have just been Mrs. Abercrombie, but any owner that would be in the race together and was there, you need to make a point to make sure that you've communicated with them and on the good and bad of whatever happened that day.
Well, he just thought that was just extremely classy of you and just wanted me to relay that he's a big fan and just wanted me to share that story. And I think it's safe to say, my husband and I had a conversation one day, who we would have to train our horses. And I think that obviously if he wasn't training my horses, if I wasn't paying the bill, I think it's safe to say just on a horsemanship level, you are one of the top gentlemen and trainers that I would choose on the backside. Just the level of care that you display. I remember before the meet started, I was going through the barn area doing interviews with trainers in regards to certain horses. I walked through the shed row, Donnie, out pops this head from the stall. So, you're extremely hands-on, and that's something that I think is possibly lost nowadays.
Well, I think my father's here right now, and I think the biggest compliment I get from other people about him is he's a horseman and a gentleman.
Absolutely. Well, with that being said, I'm going to welcome up Mr. Don. Mr. Don, if you want to go ahead and come up, sir. Have a seat, sir.
Got it?
Now, this gentleman certainly has not lost any step in himself. 33% winners in 2015. Is that correct?
That was a good year.
Now, what does it mean, Mr. Don, to have not one but two well-respected sons follow in your footsteps?
Well, it's a lot of fun to watch them. They actually do a better job than I do, and it's a good relationship.
Now, what are some of the most important lessons that you think that you've instilled in them? Even you might think that they didn't pick up, but they actually did.
Well, they work hard, and they're up early, and they stay late till the last horse is in and make sure everything's done, and just their work ethic is the biggest thing.
Would you agree with that, Donnie?
Yeah, I think that's a big factor, and where we grew up in the family, whether it's his father or my mother's family. His father and mother worked their whole lives, and it's just that mentality that you need to do the job best you can.
So we had talked about earlier that the boys being at the barn from a young age, did they do anything wrong? Did you ever have to, snap the shank a little bit and get them in line?
They done several things wrong,
Do tell, Mr. Don.
but they got back in line pretty quick, and we didn't ever have any problems. They started walking horses at a very young age, and then next thing you know, they're rubbing horses, and next thing, well, Donnie's assistant trainer, and it went from there. And he's a tough act to follow right now.
Now, Mr. Don, today you sent out multiple stakes winner Smack in the Razorback. He actually won this race in 97 with no spin, no glow. 10-1 on the morning line. It's a very strong field. He likes to stalk, and he exits a very nice allowance prep early last month. What are your thoughts on today's race?
Well, you just hope that you've prepared the horse well, and he has a good trip, and that's it. Maybe you'll light the board, and if you do, you feel like you've run a good race.
And I'll get to talk to you afterwards.
Pardon?
I'll get to talk to you afterwards.
Yeah. I'll be speechless then.
I'll get something out of you.
Okay.
So, but having your sons kind of follow in your footsteps, what are some of your favorite moments that you've seen? Or what are you most proudest of?
Well, every time they win a race, I'm very proud of them, and their mother always gets her picture made. But I've been in the game a long time, and I'd rather see them win races myself, although my owners want to see me win too.
Your wallet does too, right?
Right. But it's a lot of fun to see them in action, and they always have their horses prepared well and show up in the paddock in good shape. So, you do your best and hope for the best.
Now, as I mentioned, Donnie is in the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, but Don is in the Nebraska Hall of Fame, correct?
Right, and the other son, Kelly's in the Iowa Hall of Fame. So that's quite a feat in itself.
So obviously very dominant in the Midwest circuit. So kind of racing royalty, if you will. That's what I like to say.
That'd be okay if there was any money came with it.
I'll see what I can do. I'll put an ad somewhere.
Okay, that'll be fine, Nancy.
Does anybody have any questions for either Donnie or Don? The question is, tell us about his experience with Brownie Points.
Brownie Points was a mare trained for Pin Oak, and she's actually the dam of Synchrony, who's run here a couple times this year. And she was as versatile as horses come. She won stakes short and long. She won stakes on the dirt and the turf, and actually was second to Zenyatta here before anybody knew who Zenyatta was. I remember that day. We were running in the Apple Blossom, and the champion mare from the previous year was here, Bobby Frankel's mare, Ginger Brew or Ginger Punch? Ginger Punch. And was rightly so a big favorite that day. And she was in front of us going into the last turn, and we went by her about halfway around the turn and opened up a little bit, turning for home. And I'm thinking, well, we just passed the best mare in the country. We've got a real chance to win this race. And then Zenyatta came roaring by, and we finished second. But it was quite a thrill. But I think after that race, Zenyatta was the horse that everybody remembers. But up to that point, we really didn't know what she was. But then Brownie Points, like I said, she even beat the boys a time or two in her career. She was just as good and honest a mare as you could have.
Anybody else?
Hey, Rebel, do you tell your jockey to keep an eye on any certain horses, right?
there are so many horses in the race that have a chance to win that he'd be too busy trying to keep. You'd have to have a piece of paper with him to keep track of everybody that you think you have to beat in the race. So I think he just has to ride his race and let the chips fall where they may.
Is it that kind of race, Donnie, particularly big fields like that, whether it's the Rebel, the Arkansas Derby, Kentucky Derby, or just a race of that caliber with that full of a field? Do you just kind of say, just stay out of trouble?
Well, there's a price that comes with staying out of trouble as far as you give up a lot of ground.
Right.
So you have to make a decision. Can I save some ground here and still get out when I need to and make my run? And those are decisions that only the jockey can make because there's so many variables in the running of the race. They have to be able to make that decision in a split second, and sometimes it's not the right one. But yeah, in big fields like that, especially in this race, there are a lot of horses that have a chance to win. So I think you just have to go out there and ride your horse the way you want him to run his race, and hopefully it's good enough.
What are the instructions for your rider today, Mr. Don?
Well, Shane's rode the horse a lot of times, so I'm just going to throw him up and say, have a good trip.
Don't screw it up.
Don't screw it up.
Any other questions?
I noticed a jockey switch in the second race. That's our penalty course.
Oh, fictionality. Yeah, sometimes you got to shake it up a little bit, and the filly we've felt has just maybe better than she's been showing, and sometimes you try different different tactics. You run them a different distance, and sometimes you don't feel like things are clicking for whatever reason, so you just try a little change and see what happens.
Mr. Don, how many years have you and your lovely been married?
57 years.
57 years. That's almost like celebrities staying married for 20. That is absolutely amazing. Are you 81?
I'm 81.
81 and been married 57. Congratulations. And she still comes to the races every day with you.
Every day she can, yes. And she gets her picture made a lot of times.
You still have every win picture that you've ever saddled, right?
Yes, I do.
Dating back to what year?
1959.
So when you look on Equibase, it does not nearly credit every win that he has ever saddled. Equibase only goes to 1976, I believe. So you're missing a good 20 plus years of your wins.
Well, I still have the pictures.
He's got the pictures and the money, right? So who are some of your favorites that have crossed through your shed row?
My favorite horses?
Yes.
Well, I had a horse called Bold Trap early in my career. It was a nice horse, and no spin, no glow. And I got to race or pick out Mariah Storm as a yearling, and we raced her and later sold her in foal to Stormcat, and she produced Giant's Causeway. That was a big thrill.
So,
Mr. Toby Keith gives me some horses to train out. Probably if it wasn't for him, I'd be out of business. But I've got several horses for him.
I was just about to mention both are affiliated with Dream Walkin' Farm, and when you see that name in the program, you see next to it Toby Covell?
Covell's his name, yes.
Covell, Toby Covell, but that is AKA country legend superstar Toby Keith. So you both have a long-standing affiliation with Toby Keith. Is he going to be here today?
I would imagine he will be, but I don't know for sure.
And sometimes I'm told around 2 o'clock in the morning he might be able up at Pop's Lounge in the game room karaokeing. So
So that's true.
I'm sure you're fast asleep at 2 o'clock in the morning, though.
Long before that.
You can set your alarm and go sing some Hank Williams Jr., though.
Right.
Well, I truly appreciate you both taking time. You are not only just absolutely legendary horsemen, but true gentlemen. and the apple did not fall far from the tree.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you so much, and best of luck to both of you. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Don and Donnie von Hemel.
All right, guys, here we go. Stay there. Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Don. It was a true pleasure. Donnie, thank you so much.